Hey everybody, this is the Innovation Conversation. How you doing, Tom?
Good, Kevin. Good morning.
So we've been doing a lot of these lately, from grocery shop. I mean, we did one last week, but as the news dictates, it's fun to kind of get together and talk about things. And there have been a series of stories lately, which have kind of suggested to both of us that Amazon is taking our advice, or at least they're doing what we have been advising them to do, even if they didn't actually take our advice. And that is that they seem to be connecting the dots in certain cases, between different kinds of services that they've been offering sort of separately. And the first thing that came to mind was the fact that they're sort of doing this prescription business realignment. They had all these different things, and they're sort of pulling them all together in a more integrated offering.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really happy to see that. I think pharmacy is so broken. I think Amazon has such an opportunity to solve a real need there. They had their pill pack business, they have their pharmacy business, they have their pharmacy discount program as well. And I understand why they would have run each of those separately, as they either acquired a business or started a new business. We've talked about in the innovation conversation before, sometimes when you're testing multiple innovations concurrently in the same offering,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell what's driving what, right, and how each element is performing. So I think it's great that and it's been a long time since they originally purchased PillPack, but I think it's great that they've learned from that. They see how that can integrate with their core pharmacy offering. And they have a plan to grow that into dozens of markets now in the U.S. I just think it's a wonderful step for Amazon.
Yeah. I will say, I have to say, I'm a big fan of somebody who I guess is a fairly new pharmacy chief medical officer, a guy named Vin Gupta, who's
Mhm.
actually at I think at University of Washington. And he was on the news a lot. I think he has a gig with NBC as their medical analyst. So during the pandemic, he was all over the place, and
Mm.
I really like him. So it's so funny. I saw his name on it, and it sort of gave it a little bit of credibility for me because I feel like I have a sense of his mindset, and he's
Yeah,
very patient focused, and I think that's really smart.
that is good. I mean, Amazon talks about customer obsession, and if you can, if this can be led by somebody with that focus, with that reputation, that's awesome.
The other things that happen is that they're both kind of related to their Whole Foods business. They're doing a test in one place where they're going to put a micro fulfillment center adjacent to a Whole Foods, which is actually going to be fulfilling products not carried by Whole Foods. And then they're going to have, I guess in Chicago, they're testing a small, what they're calling Amazon Grocery, because
Hmm.
that's what they needed in another format. Amazon Grocery adjacent to a Whole Foods. So you can go to Whole Foods in that case, and then go right next door and pick up the stuff that Whole Foods is not carrying. In the other case, you'd have it delivered. But the idea that they're starting to figure out how do we pull these things
Hmm.
together in a smart sort of way. Again, we've been talking about this for years, and it seems like they're finally getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the stat that I don't know who originally posted it, but 70% of Whole Foods shoppers, you still go elsewhere to shop for conventional products. The stuff that you can't get at Whole Foods. So, I mean, that's a glaring gap that Amazon would certainly want to fill, right? Amazon wants to be the everything place to, the place where customers can serve, every need or as many needs as they can reasonably. And, to send customers elsewhere, ultimately does them a disservice. Now, are these formats the answer? I think they both have, to me, they both have significant questions. I applaud them for trying.
Mhm.
But micro fulfillment centers, while they hold a bunch of promise, they're pretty tough to get the economics to work. They've just got to have a level of throughput and productivity that's super high, and it has to match um, it has to ebb and flow with the traffic of the store, and it doesn't do it struggles. It can often struggle to serve peak times, and they can often struggle to be productive during slower times. So Again, not to say it can't work, but to me, it seems like a little bit of a difficult concept to try. But again, I give them credit for trying. And gosh, don't say it's not going to work ahead of time.
Would it make sense? And I don't think this is in the announcement, but it would seem to me that at some level it would make sense to integrate with whatever packing and delivering uh, infrastructure they're building into this micro fulfillment center,
Mhm.
to integrate that with whatever the picking process is in the store for people ordering from Whole Foods online, whether for delivery or pickup. I mean,
Yeah.
I would think it would make sense to sort of integrate it all. So there may be times that people are not picking in the store of whole food product, but they can go in the back at peak times and work in the micro fulfillment center, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that you would definitely ultimately want to have the two working, synergistically, and then for an online delivery order or an online pickup order, have the processes, work together, and then ultimately combine the order. That would make good sense from a customer standpoint. But I know one of the things it sounds like they're trying to solve is even the store visit customer, right? That's coming in to shop the aisles, then kind of, quietly picking up their
Their,
totes of
their
the
Diet Coke
evil
and
conventional
their Diet
products.
Coke and their Oreos. Right.
Exactly. Like, yeah, in unmarked totes. Uh,
In this case, brown paper bags would be appropriate.
It would be, it would be. But so I don't know. I mean, again, I applaud it because there's a customer need there. And the separate format, I've heard like the assortment's a little clunky, and what are they really trying to be with the 3,500, 3,600 SKU assortment? I think it does hold potential promise. But again, you're asking the customer, to do two transactions, right? Going to Whole Foods, then go over to the other. Again, probably better than nothing, but is it good enough?
Well, the question is, to me, was also, and I think it's less of an issue with the micro fulfillment center because that's pretty invisible to the customer.
Right.
But certainly with an Amazon grocery store attached to the Whole Foods or adjacent to the Whole Foods, I mean, on the one hand, you'd think they'd want to really market this aggressively, right? Now we're solving two needs instead of just
Yeah.
one. But you've got, I mean, there is a sanctity to the Whole Foods format that it seems to me they probably want to be careful about violating, because if they
Yeah.
do, what is the blowback they get?
No, I agree, and I think they're towing the line for sure with these two adjacent formats. Maybe in the purest customer, to the purest customer, maybe that's okay because it stays outside the four walls. If 70% of those customers are shopping elsewhere anyway, I guess you'd think that 70%. Now they may have a little bit of shame in in getting the conventional products on the same trip as the Whole Foods organic products. But you know, y- will that 70% be served by that, and then how off-putting would this be to the 30%?
Right.
And I wonder too. And I'm the biggest believer in you have to stand for something as a retailer and be very clear, in that proposition and deliver on that proposition, especially when you have a dialogue with your customers of trust and they trust in who you are, and you're trusted to deliver that. But you do have to wonder, and it could Amazon try in one of the hundreds of Whole Foods stores? Could they try to integrate some level of conventional? Now, I know it could
You
potentially.
you bastard.
No, well, again, if it's 70%, like what would it mean to the 30? Would the 30, turn their noses up and go elsewhere? Would there be a backlash, or could we all just get along? I don't know.
Or could you even keep the products, the products that have not been sanctified?
Yeah,
To stick with my Catholic upbringing,
yeah.
the products that have not been sanctified, could you keep them in a separate section, almost a separate store, but then have a unified checkout?
It's almost like back in the day, the old video stores. And then you had the swinging doors in the back. It's like, what's behind there, Mom? Oh, you never want to go back there, son. It's
Oh no,
almost
I
like,
really
oh, here's
do
the
want to go back
conventional
there.
section.
I mean, it's an interest. Listen, I mean, the integration of these formats. I mean, they're going to have to figure out at some point how far they can go.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't integrate it physically, which maybe that's not the answer, and that's fine if that's not the answer, but then you have to, for those customers, you just have to make it easy to
Right.
buy across the assortment that they want to buy from. So, whether it's something attached to the store or whether, your online offering, that is served via pickup or delivery, has access to those products and the customer can kind of seamlessly, which is such an overused word, but can effortlessly or low effort wise, go and access those, and maybe that's fine. But I applaud Amazon for trying these two, these two efforts. But again, I wouldn't. I mean, and again, it may be a line that they've just said we are absolutely not crossing. We know our customers won't let us cross it. We've asked them; they said no. But could you try one store somewhere? Just say we're going to try this for 3 months, and customers, if you don't like it, we're going back. But
Right.
customers, if you do like it, we may consider going with this.
The and the other question, I mean, here's okay. As you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's suppose I'm ordering online. I'm not going to the actual store,
Hmm.
and I order XYZ from Whole Foods and ABC from Amazon.
Hmm.
Am I going to be offended if the same truck brings them in the same order? I don't think so.
No,
I mean, frankly, if you're offended by that, you're probably not ordering from the whole Amazon,
right.
right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. It's like you've made the choice, so that's never going to be an issue for you. But if you've
Right.
ordered 365, healthy products, but you've also ordered Oreos and Diet Coke, and it shows up on the same truck, maybe they
Right.
maybe they have to be careful not to touch because that would be really
Right. Cross
but
contamination. It's a
right,
whole other
cross
topic.
contamination. But I mean, it's an interesting question, and I think it's one that they probably have to answer and are probably engaged in answering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. They have to be.
So, I mean, it's also interesting at the same time as Amazon is doing this, they're shutting some stuff down that doesn't work. Like they've shut down this whole Amazon Today thing, which was sort of like I don't think they communicated it very well. I had no sense of it, and I
Yeah.
watched this stuff pretty carefully. And then they're trying other new stuff. I mean, you've seen stuff from Tony Hoggett announcing stuff that you're doing out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, they're in Phoenix. They're doing a more integrated experience, out of their facilities, where you can in the same shopping experience, buy everything from blueberries to socks, and
Have them
be able
delivered at
to
the same time by the
and
same
have
time.
them delivered, yeah, in the same time in the same order, and we'll see how much demand there is for that, but making it easy for the customer to buy whatever they want and have it all come in the same order or close to it, pretty good.
And they've been
So yeah,
talking
we'll
about
see how
that for
that
years.
goes.
They've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, yeah. And Phoenix always tends to be, I've noticed just, bouncing between Seattle and Phoenix, Scottsdale, the delivery times there are amazingly short. Like I just feel like almost half the time if I'm shopping in the morning, I can get the product that day. And almost never is it longer than next day. They just have a really robust fulfillment infrastructure
Which is
down there.
which is why they're going to be testing out drones.
Yeah, great place to do it. We'll try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I assume at some point this winter, I can count on you to order something via drone and also order blueberries and socks, just to see
When I
what.
need socks, I need blueberries regularly. I don't need socks as frequently as blueberries, but
You'll take one for the team and order one pair, right?
oh yeah, I can always do socks.
Hey, listen, it's interesting. And again, it's not like it is not like Amazon's necessarily taking our advice, although we do have readers and viewers at Amazon. But this is the kind of thing we've been talking about. But it also points out the necessity, I think, for every retailer to synchronize their various offerings, right?
Absolutely.
You can't look at e-commerce as being that can't look at this stuff in silos. And the more you can synchronize it together and make sure that the value proposition
Yep.
is cohesive and compelling, which is something Amazon has missed. But the more you can do that, the better able you're going to be to succeed in a land where the competition is getting much tougher.
100% agree. 100% agree. But, also don't be afraid to test something separately, right? Like it's okay to test it on its own, but then as you're doing that, you better have a vision for how it integrates into your broader offering to make it easy on the customer. And then as soon as you're proving out the value proposition or learning on the isolated test, get it integrated. Don't make your customer have to work extra hard, to solve a need or to help you, run a test.
Great way to end. As always, thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.